All right, folks, welcome to a market recap. Today, I had a shorting opportunity, which there was a short, which only went to the range low of the 4-hour time frame, and it fully reversed. Today, I had my buy strong. So what happened was we had the right model one confirmation. Eventually, the model one got tapped, which was a 3.8 RR trade, and it hit target. Eventually, market fully reversed. But my setup, I didn't take this setup because I was waiting for my entry to be, my entry to get tapped, which is the resistance block, which after the market hit my take profit, if I would have entered a trade, it would have been a loss. Although I could have still executed this trade because the approach, projected range high, projected range low, go back to the high, have a SMT slash, equal high and go lower. But it was going to fail. Like you can see, it failed. Higher different John Liquidity being wrong. And if you go to the higher time frame, as I said last week, there was a weekly SMT CRT to the upside, right? The weekly SMT, well, not weekly SMT, I mean. If you go to the higher time frame here, with the quality asset, which was, I'm pretty sure, GU. GU in the higher time frame tapped the weekly CRT low. So we had the weekly CRT low. This week, I thought we're still gonna go down to the weekly CRT low because we should have gone back down there, right? But the SMT means you already got tapped, right? One pair tapped it, the other one didn't tap it. So now the whole narrative of the higher time frame was, instead of being bearish, we're meant to be bullish, right? So we had a weekly, IRL to ERL, a weekly SMT to the upside. So this SMT CRT, right? The CRT low got tapped already because of SMT. So now we're going from a daily, weekly IRL to ERL. How come? Although I did say this February got once again suspected because he was inside of the CRT, but the target of the CRT already got met because there was an SMT. So now this February gap is back to be valid to be traded. So we have a weekly CRT to the upside, a weekly IRL to ERL, as well as on a daily time frame. That's wrong here. On a daily time frame, we had a daily, daily range, right? We had a daily CRT upside. So this Wednesday candle from all last week was in place still, and we could use that Wednesday candle as a way to target up higher. So I have my whole bias wrong today. This week, the high time key I thought was bearish because I thought it was still going to go lower because we had a daily IRL, my weekly IRL back to ERL, but market is already going from a IRL to ERL, so that wouldn't have made sense. Man, I can't talk straight because I just went to fix my teeth. It's kind of hurting right now still, but yeah. It's like none of you guys' business, but that's why speaking is kind of fucked up. But I thought it was gonna be a weekly IRL back to weekly ERL without noticing that market's already going from weekly IRL to ERL. It can't go from weekly IRL to IRL. It first needs to meet its objective first before doing so. So on the weekly time frame, I have my whole bias wrong. I'm actually supposed to be bullish. How do I know my bias was wrong? It's after seeing the setup getting disrespected. So after my setup got disrespected, which followed all my trading guideline rules, whenever the market disrespects my setup and if the setup follows all my trading guideline rules, what I do is I go back to the higher time frame and check my bias, and that means usually if I get stopped out, that means market wants to go the opposite way, shit like that. So that's what we had in higher time frame. We were wrong in the weekly time frame. So we are supposed to go from this weekly CRT low had SMT. So now we're going since this weekly CRT low had SMT, this February gap now is valid to be traded as an IRL. So now we go from a weekly IRL back to ERL, a weekly CRT upside. On a daily time frame, today we're supposed to use this daily CRT to go to the upside. Although there's an SMT, if I were to be a short-term trader, I would have been bearish today. But since my ways of determining high time liquidity changed, I would have not been bearish. I would have still looking. I was still would have been looking for longs today. I would have looked for a KOD, right? Because we had this Wednesday candles with CRT. You see, in a bullish environment, the lows are very consistent, as well as we have a daily range. The daily range is bullish, right? Because market took the low first, then it took the high. That means it's a bullish, right? It's a bullish daily range, so market should be going up higher. So the market tablets come to the daily range high, which is the weekly CRT high, which is the weekly ERO. On the lower time frame, today I had a bearish bias, which is the bias is like fully wrong, but it still worked out in a short-term basis. But we want to target the higher time frame, which we want to do a swing trade rather than a short-term trade. On the lower time frame, I know we had bearish. We had a bullish order flow. We had bearish daily ranges. I thought it was Imperium. Like the whole bearish trade idea was false. As I said, the high time frame is false. The lower time frame doesn't fucking matter if the higher time frame is wrong. So what we're supposed to be here today, we're supposed to be bullish, but the short-term did, the short-term trade did, work out in our favor with a valid high, push out the valid high. We did have a fair value gap above our old high. That could have been our initial entry, but you see, it did get respected. I could have not entered it because he got tapped before 6 a.m. That's why I didn't enter it. Otherwise, I would have definitely taken it. Although it was wrong bias because during that time I didn't know. Now I do know. Right now I know. Okay, the weekly fair value gap now is felt to be traded to the upside as a bullish PD array because the weekly CRT low had an SMT. I said on the weekly time frame, I want to see that weekly fair value gap get disrespected. So it did get disrespected because it tapped the weekly CRT low. So once that weekly CRT low is disrespected, but it had an SMT. So one pair disrespected while the other pair didn't. So it's still a disrespect in a way. So now, so it didn't really get disrespected in our pair. That weekly fair value gap now is valid to be traded, right? So that's a lesson we're going to talk about, and there's many more lessons. So today, I was supposed to be bullish, but the bearish bias still worked out a little bit in our favor. It was a 3.8 RR. Well, I didn't execute it because I was looking for resistance block entry, but the resistance block entry, if I were to enter the trade, it would have been disrespected because the bias was wrong, right? And as well as I would have taken the resistance block trade to the downside because no purchase, right? No purchase trade. And now going to the higher time frame, what we had here was that for a bullish setup, we had a daily range, to the high, to the low, stable high, stable low. We tapped the discount daily range high, as well as we had a daily to the upside. We dumped below an old low, so we want to go buy up until we go above the high, as well as we looking for a KOD. We had a 4 key low, which is the 4 per value gap. We have a bullish auto flow. We broke up the high, we reached up to the low. There was SMT with this low. Now looking for a break of this high. Now we're looking for a resistance below this low, a break of this high, which it did. Now that's all we had in a higher time frame. Higher time frame, don't look at overall bullish, right? Daily ranges, weekly IRO to arrow, weekly series upside, etc., etc. Lower time frame, for our lower time for CRT was the scandal. So now go to lower time frame. So this is our CRT. But well, what about this? The CRT is still respected. Yes, that would have been a low purge, but that low needed to get that low needed to be repurged in order for to take a trade. And today I couldn't even take in the long trade because it's supposed to be a New York reversal. So if I'm a New York reversal, I want the London session or the Asian session highs to be protected. In this case, the Asian session highs or the London session highs were not protected. So I could have not looking for it. I could have not looked for it. I could have not taken any trade because the context was not there, right? The daily profile was not there. But the lower time frame, our range over on the 4 time frame is candle, but there's our smaller range, which meant more than the bigger range because smaller is the execution range. but we do still care about the bigger range. So we're gonna look for the bigger range to get purged low. Eventually, after the bigger range low gets purged, looking for the right model one, then trades, right? So we purge out the range low, goes up high, give us the right model one because there was a valid low there. Eventually, we had the right model one, we tapped the right model one. Eventually, we ripped off from there on forward, which was a beautiful long. And was there a total soup trade? So as you guys know, the way I trade my total soup is first gonna be, as you guys, how Romeo said it, is your first entry is gonna be the total soup, right? Your second entry is gonna be the order block, right? Your third entry is gonna be OTE, right? But for me, my OTE is different. My OTE is the higher time frame OTE. So for me, it's a little bit different. My first trade, my first pattern I'm looking for always is the total soup. I'm looking for a specific total soup pattern. I'm looking for a fair value gap above or below a all high or low, because those are, to me, a highest probability setups. You could look for, equal highs or equal lows, but those equal high, equal lows candidates, to me, there isn't a safe stop loss. So I call it as low probability. Any setup that gives me that does not give me a safe stop loss is low probability. If a value gap gives me a safe stop loss, candle number one or candle number two, depending on the scenario, right? So first is the total soup, second total soup, fair value gap of BSL / SSL / liquidity. Number two is, as Romeo says, order block. For me, is a rejection block. So the direction block is an order block, but in the extreme side of the order block, right? So because as you guys know, market usually will tend to give a deep OTE into the order block, which usually will tend to go to the threshold or to the direction block, right? So my second entry is going to be the direction block, right? Which needs to be confirmed by an order block, which still confirms the Romeo type of setups. The third one is OTE. My personally is the higher time frame OTE. So higher time frame 0.86 mark OTE deep retracement, then I could take a trade. If not, then I can't. And that's the lesson number one. That's the way I enter the trade. So, but today, did I have any setup for me? I did not have any setup because below this old low, there, or you could say, because on this valid low, the lowest low is this candle, right? So in that specific price point. So below this old low was a fair value gap, which never got tapped. I mean, the Coley asset probably tapped it if you go to the higher time frame. If I go to, where was it? I want to see that. Whoa. Yeah, he did got tapped way long before, so I would have not, participated in it. But let me see that quality asset here. Let me see GU, because usually GU will be the one to do so. Yeah, so you can see, oh shit, one again. This fair value gap has long been had SMT with, but I would have not taken it. Because as you guys know, this reaction of the order block is very luxurious. Usually when an order block gets tapped, you usually have a OT, so you go dig deeper. But this reaction is very luxurious, so cool. But yeah, that's our mod one entry first. First was the total soup, which never got met. Second was the order block. The order block did get tapped, but not the duration block, so we're gonna take it, and eventually market ripped off. I don't want to take the model one because time. If you guys study that time aspect of why I don't take model one, only take the duration block, you would find out your reason. But okay, let's go over the lesson. So the lesson of the week is I must focus on the highest high time frame. I must be smart and I must have awareness. No, I must. This is basic knowledge, right? The weekly CRT low already got met on the quality assets or SMT. So now this weekly SMT CRT, the weekly CRT low already got met. So the CRT is no longer valid. Now this Ferrari gap still didn't get respected. So now we're going from a weekly IR to ERO. So the lesson is to pay attention to higher type SMT, to be smart and have awareness. Don't be stupid, right? Know that okay, there's an SMT, so this low already got met, and this Ferrari gap is still respected. So although this Ferrari gap is supposed to get disrespected, it did get disrespected on a quality asset, but our asset respected it. So now we're going from a bearish to bullish, right? So we have a weekly I roll back to ER roll, right? Because Ferrari gap never gets respected. It did already tap the low because he had SMT, right? So this Ferrari gap is supposed to get ran through, but it did on the quality asset. So there was SMT. And when it had SMT, it got disrespected, but in our page, it didn't get disrespected because SMT. So this Ferrari gap is still respected. So now we go from weekly IR back to ERL, a weekly series upside. So yeah, so that's the lesson number one, to have awareness. Pay the hard to frame, weekly time especially, because that's how I usually get my main draw on liquidity, and as well as have awareness, be smart, pay attention to SMT, and focus on a higher time frame a lot, especially the weekly time frame always. And the next lesson is what's the next lesson? Use defensive CRT. So in a bearish environment, whenever there's a bull CRT, I am not going to enter the trade. How can I go out of this? In a bullish environment or a bearish environment, if I'm looking for bearish to the downside on a daily time frame, and if there's a bullish CRT on a daily time frame, I will not be taking any trades until the bullish CRT meets its target. Then I'm looking for bearish CRT back to the downside, because that is a defensive CRT. So offensive CRT is using so if we're bearish, we're using bearish CRTs. That's the offensive. The defensive, if there's a bullish CRT in a bearish environment, we don't trade the bullish CRT. We just wait for it to meet its target, hit the pending liquidity. Then after the bullish CRT target gets met, the weekly CRT high, the daily CRT high in a bearish environment, then we're looking for bearish CRT, using that bullish CRT as a defensive and using it to be patient and increase our win rate / accuracy, right? Making us focus on the highest probability setups. So that's the next lesson. And that concept is kind of weird. It's gonna be kind of weird because it's always gonna be a defensive CRT, right? And the best way to go around that is have to be daily ranges, right? Daily ranges is the best way to go and fix that defensive CRT problem. And if I go to the quality asset right now, not quality asset, if I go to gold, this would have been the perfect reason. You can see if you were to long this CRT, you would have been fucked, right? Why would have you been fucked? Because there's a weekly, there's a CRT to the downside, right? So then since there's a CRT to the downside in a bullish environment, we have to wait for the bearish CRT to get met, which it did, right? Eventually from here, you could long it up. It's more reliable CRT. In this case, the bearish CRT, boom, got massive future long the CRT, you would have been disrespected, right? So the best way to me personally to go out of this defensive CRT problem is simply using daily ranges, because market push at the low, push at the high, daily range low, daily range high. We have premium and we have discount. We're gonna wait until the discount gets tapped. So this CRT we ignore, and this discount gets tapped. So after this discount gets tapped, what we're gonna do is we're not gonna trade. So discount gets tapped, right? But there's a CRT here already. But after discount gets tapped, then we're looking for a CRT, right? So discount got tapped, then we're looking for a CRT. So this CRT won't count. We're looking for this CRT. So the CRT high got met. Now CRT high got purged, then we'll go to CRT low, defend the CRT again. CRT low gets purged. Eventually, when it does get purged in lower time frame, it's 18 o'clock. So we wait for the next CRT to pull up. The CRT pulls up. So now we're looking to trade along. The best way to go out of this is daily ranges. Push out the low, push out the high, stable low, stable high. So you avoid trading this one until this one gets met. So now this one gets met. Now what you're gonna do is after this one gets tapped, what you're gonna do is you're gonna wait until the discount of that. You're gonna wait after this one gets tapped. You're gonna wait for that CRT to close. They're looking for a daily CRT. Eventually, you have a daily CRT. Long that shit up. Boom. Same thing again here again. CRT got met. Now you're looking for a daily CRT. Pop, dump it all old low. Boom, gets met. Higher. Right. This is the best way to go out of this. And that's the defensive CRT. And my way is gonna be using daily ranges. I have to look. I have to see on how this is gonna work on using defensive CRT, because the best way I use defensive CRT is daily ranges. I don't use CRT itself as a defensive CRT. I use the daily range as a defensive CRT, right? So that's the best way I go out of it. I'm sorry, my mouth is fucking hurting bad, but we have to deal with it. I'm a man at the end of the day. So yeah, that's what we got. But yeah, that's the next lesson. Using defensive CRT, especially daily ranges. I have to on a daily time frame, especially because daily time frame has a lot of candles that print. I have to pay attention to it. It all makes sense. It all fucking makes sense. There's literally no way we can't make money because all this shit makes sense, right? It all fucking makes sense. It's all controlled. Everything fucking makes sense, right? So yeah. And right now, all these losses I'm having, they're fucking small ass losses. Why? Because I haven't had it. I haven't still. The process of me getting approved from my bank takes a fucking couple months. It's been 2 months now, and I still have not been approved. Right? Some fucking regulations here. I still gotta wait for it. Now I gotta get money from my shit, and eventually then they will let me allow to trade. And I want one advice I'll give you guys. Do not fucking use Awanda. Do not use Awanda if you're gonna trade forex. Only use forex.com to use Awanda, because I'm currently I'm still trading, but to use a large capital at any of these brokers, you gotta have approvals from the bank. But low capital, you can they'll give you a limit on how much you can deposit. But because right now I only have like 2,500, right? Because he won't let me put more than that until I get approved, right? Which I have to wait for this month to end, and they have to see this month, transactions in order for me to get approved. But that's not the story, right? The story is the lesson is only use forex.com for forex. Do not use Awanda. Spreads are fucking awful, bro. I enter a trade and I have a 3.5 pip. It says 1.8 pip, but it's a 3.55 pip difference of entry, because they make their money on the spread. They don't make money on commission, right? Unless you change your account. But if you don't get approved for your account, you can't even get the commission based low spread commission based account, because you have to wait to get approved, right? Which takes fucking months, right? Not months. It takes like 2 to 3 months. It's a long process for some reason for me. But yeah, that's a quick lesson. If you're trading crypto, go ahead, use Awanda, because other brokers don't offer it. Awanda does. They use Paxos, which is beautiful. That's how I trade my crypto, and that's how I make more. I use it. The reason why I use a broker from the forex side rather than the crypto side to trade, Bitcoin, gold, not Bitcoin, gold, Bitcoin, ETH, etc., crypto coins, is because the risk management is better, right? And eventually, the amount of risks, and we can do the same thing on crypto, but there's a difference in it, I'm pretty sure. Because, and fucking, in crypto, I can't sell because I primarily trade spots, right? I can't fucking do leverage, right, on crypto. So I have to use this broker in order for me to sell and buy, right? So because they only let me do spots, and that's the best way I go out of it. It's not primarily because of that, because it's literally, to me, in my eyes, there's way more advantages on trading on a broker or Wanda broker than a crypto broker. Crypto brokers are, as I said, spots, and the crypto broker, so there's spots, there's no sell stops. This one is a stop loss, right? Simple reason. Without leveraging, right? Because in this you can't leverage. You can only use literally rest your whole account one trade, but you can't leverage your account, right? You can't leverage 10x, 15x, right, etc., etc. So yeah, thanks for watching. What's the next lesson? Next lesson to you guys could take, and I would take as well to myself. I always take it to myself. I always make my own videos. Yeah, that's the overall lesson. And the next lesson is to wake up early at 5 a.m. Because today what happened is I woke up at 6 a.m., which is bad. How? I did wake up at 5 a.m., but my dream was so fucking hard that I fell right back to sleep, right? So I didn't have enough rest. So next time is stop fucking using your phone at nighttime, turn that shit off, sleep, and wake up at 5 a.m. fixed without fucking waking up at 6 a.m. I woke up at 5 a.m. I looked at my phone. I tried to read my trading guideline rules. I fell asleep right while doing so. So I woke up a little later, and that fucked me up a little bit. It didn't fuck me up at all, but I did not want it to happen because habits are fucking important while doing anything, right? So that's the next lesson you guys could take, is to not let these habits overtake you. And yeah, thank you for watching. Beautiful lesson, beautiful trading week. I'm just gonna wait for the next day to give me a setup, then go on from there. You can see, I'm taking so many losses, as well as I'm taking a lot of you guys wondering, well, like, we making trading so complicated. It's already so complicated, right? So hard. Keep in mind, man, there's never a true mastery. So you have to keep on learning and learning and learning and learning until you get it, right? Because these little things are basic knowledge, but as a human being, you're gonna fuck up, right? So you human being, they're fucking kind of dickheads, right? They're not that smart. So, be smart and use that and do that, because if you don't, we're gonna get butt plugged, So you're probably not gonna get butt plugged in the next couple of days. You're gonna get butt plugged in the long term. And in the long term, I'm not here. It probably, as I said, it's already complicated. Why am I making it more complicated? I'm not making it more complicated. To me, it's not complicated. To me, it's fucking easy. It's like basic knowledge. But the problem is, I'm here for the long term. I'm not here for the short term. I'm not here for the next two or 3 years. I'm here for the next 2, 3, 4 decades, right? Until I retire. And even when I'm retired, I'm still gonna trade. I'm just gonna fuck around and find out, because I have my one of my they're my English friends, right? They're very old. In their fucking 70s in trading, bro. This guy, they don't even trade for the income. They trade for the, just to fuck around. They're like, they were two partners, right? This is why I want to get a wife, or get a wife that supports me in my journey, or could potentially join my journey with me, right? Without just fucking making her stay at a home, like a housewife. I want a partner, But the thing is, these guys are old, right? They're like at 70s. I'm like, damn, how long have you been married for? Fucking 50 years, right? I was like, that's insane. That's nice, right? It's cool. But I was like, at 50, I mean, like for 50 years of marriage, and you guys still trade. You guys are already retired. What you guys trading for? It's like we retired. We need to have some fun. And market gives us some fun, and they make fucking bro. Believe it or not, they make more money than me, right? Even when they're trading as a fun way, right? Meaning they're trading a low capital, just trading for fun, right? They're still following the trading guideline rules. They literally had a whole journal, bro. What the fuck? I was like, you still journaling at your 30 and at your 70s? Like, because that's how they get rich, right? Like, damn, journaling at your fucking 70s, right? And also a long ass journal. I was like, damn, that's nice. He's a practicing trader, PA trader. But that's amazing, right? At 70, trading for fun. And that's what I want to do, right? Because once you get old, you're so old, what you gonna do? You just might as well just fucking press a button, still follow your rules, and make a lot of fucking money for the market. The market, the price action never changes. And when I watched that guy trade, he showed me trade, right? I was like, damn. Literally same analysis, same way as the same analysis, higher different John looking as me, but different way. He explained it a little differently. Some price action shit. Yeah, but he's been in the market for fucking I don't know how long, but he says he has been in the market since he was in college. At his early 20s, bro. Like it's a long fucking time. But that's what 5 decades of in the market. So that he knows a lot about price action, right? But me, I don't need to know about it, but I will learn about it because I still get a John Lucas same way, right? But he just uses it through his instance, right? His price action details. I use it a little bit differently, right? But we still end up on the same page, which is amazing, right? Amazing. But yeah, thank you for watching. Make sure you guys like, comment, share. From now on forward, these are the lessons, and I will use defensive CRT. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Peace out.